Hey everybody, Andrew with Pew Brothers. Today's episode we're going to be talking about shotgun patterning. Now whether you have been doing this for quite some time or you're new, we're going to do a quick recap to talk about what shotgun patterning is. So why do I need to pattern my shotgun? Just like rifles, when you change barrel lengths and ammunition loads, the impact changes. For example, here I have a 28-inch barrel Franke A5 replica. Not quite certain what choke I have in there, but I will show you all that it's clear. This shotgun, even with the same load, with the same shell, is going to pattern different from this Mossberg 930, which is also clear. Why? Barrel length primarily, and if I have a choke inside of there. Now, for me, the reason I pattern my shotguns is to know where they're at for home defense. Others, like turkey hunters, or even if you're doing larger game, want to see where their impacts of their projectiles are going to be on the target. Now, for a home defense application, this is what I've done. I've measured out my home and seen where the longest distance of a shot that I would have to take. I'm in my kitchen recording, and the longest shot possible in my entire house is from the corner right over here to it's over there, but the corner of my living room. It's open floor plan, and it's about 15 yards. Now, I use federal flight control, so I know that through my home defense shotgun, this Mossberg 930, that I will have a, see if I can find it, I will have a 4.5-inch group at 15 yards. Conversely, I also know that at 5 yards, I have a slug. If you'll take a look here, it was quite a long day at the range. Ethan and I sorting through all the different loads we had to cycle through.
Horny Black, 8 pellet double up, 5 yards. Number 1 buck, 5 yards. Remington 9 pellet double up, 5 yards. Remington 12 pellet double up, 5 yards.
So this is just one of many examples. You'll see others we did in this test. You will take your blank piece of paper or cardboard, write you a little bit of information here at the bottom, and then you will see how this buckshot pattern plays out on here. So you can see where those shots are placed at, and I know what is placed at the distance over here. So why does this matter? Well, for one, I want to go ahead and dispel a myth before we go any further. Lots of people use shotguns for home defense, and I've heard just countless times, if anything happens, I can just shoot down the hallway. Depends on how long your hallway is. This is an example of a buckshot load at 5 yards. See that? There's no other holes there. Now this is federal flight control, and at 5 yards it hadn't separated from the wadding yet. So in effect, you had a singular projectile, i.e. a slug, going down that hallway, because at 5 yards it still hadn't opened. And even at 7 or 8 yards, it hadn't opened much. Now, I started this video out and the different research, and I said, you know, I think I'm going to go out and set to see which of X number of brands is going to be the best shot for home defense. I'm not going to make this video any longer in anticipation. I'll just go ahead and tell you.
Federal LE-132, it's reduced recoil, 9 pellet, double up buck, flight control.
I think I'll have to go back to the video editing, but I think that Ethan and I on this particular day probably ran through about 15 different loads. All of them were 2 3/4, a couple 3-inch, and then one oddity that came in there, and I want to take a second to talk about that right now. These 1 3/4 shorty shot shields. I had to make sure I caught them the right thing. For years, I've considered these to be a novelty. Now, let me give a couple disclaimers before you guys jump all over me. A, the Shorty is not my preferred home defense load. What I will say is that it outperformed some of the larger names. I'll give you an example of that. This is a Federal Shorty at 10 yards. Excuse me, 15 yards. We have a 4 3/4 inch, can you see that? 4 3/4 inch spread. We back it up to 15 yards. Over here's the Federal Shorty. We have a 9 1/2 inch spread. And we have Fiocchi over here that is totally off the paper. Now, I shot this one twice just to make sure. It outperformed Fiocchi both times. This is Fiocchi Defense 9 pellet double aught. It may be a novelty round as the vast majority of us are concerned, but just as with all other handguns, there's a spectrum of folks out there. There are those that like carrying the 50 Desert Eagles, the 45 70s, 44 mags for everyday carry, and there's also those that like carrying 22 shorts or 25 ACPs or what other ever pocket calibers that I'd never considered carried. That's either here nor there. This is the right round for someone. Now, I would never put it inside of a firearm that is not intended for. I do know that Mossberg made, I think it's the 590S that would accept and run these from the factory, and there are countless aftermarket feed ramp modifications that say they're supposed to run these. These shells really hit off with the kill tech community when it comes to the KS7s and the KSGs and even the Tavor IWIs. Excuse me. I think there's the IWI TS12. They've become really popular with the extended or multi-tube magazine shotguns. Surely for capacity, right? The issue comes with cycling and reliability. If I'm just going to the range with them, fine. What would I use these in? If I had a relative that just absolutely was scared of the recoil or the manual of arms of a pump or semi-automatic shotgun, something's better than nothing. A double barrel 12 gauge shotgun with 2 of these shotties in there, it'll be better than the Fiocchi. All right, and that Fiocchi was 2 3/4 double aught buck, at least when it comes to putting the projectiles on target. I hope that you've gained some understanding from this video as it pertains to shotgun patterning. Now, we can go a lot deeper in the weeds, but this is simply the 40,000 foot view. In this diagram right here, I want you to see the difference in the spread that you see in these circles, and it depicts on what a shotgun spread would be. And I'm in there for a human-sized silhouette, so you can kind of get an idea why shotgun spread is important. Okay, here's a quick recap on shotgun patterning. First, put your targets downrange, place a piece of duct tape or some other indicator downrange to use as a center focal point for your target. Second, you're going to measure out your prescribed range. This range is going to be contingent on your needs for whatever you're patterning for. Mine particularly was home defense. I used 5, 10, and 15 yards. This next part is fairly simple. Grab the shotgun that you intend to pattern out of, whatever load you're going to try, head to the range, and you guessed it, let it rip, Tater Chip.
Federal flight control. 15 yards.
This is my least favorite part. Again, we ran about 15 different shot shells with various loads in here, so at 3 different distances, we had to review 45 pattern samples. Got to do what you got to do, but it did give me a clear indicator as to which round performed best and the distances and how it patterned. So here's where you're going to mark your distances and see how they did. Also, make sure you count your pellets and be mindful for the stray flyers. Guys, we love you. Thanks for watching, and as always, clink responsibly.